How you doing, fan bam? This is Chris Misa here with another video about keyboards. Maybe you want to upgrade for gaming or maybe productivity purposes. Maybe you purchased a desktop with a standard keyboard, or maybe you're used to using a laptop and it has that standard keyboard. And typically you'll have that mushy feel and maybe you won't get that response that you're looking for. But these very gaming keyboards and these productivity keyboards will be the exact thing that you need. It's responsive, reliable, and it is quick. Maybe you're a content creator, maybe you play games, or maybe you even build games. And these are the very kind of keyboards that you may be looking for. Now, right before I get to it, I want to say if you find this content very useful, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And also, if you want to join the big, wonderful fan base, make sure you go down and hit the subscribe button for more. Now let's get straight to it because I know you want to know exactly what kind of keyboards are out there. These are the top 10 keyboards that I would recommend on getting, especially if you call yourself a gamer or a content creator. So some of you guys out there are probably thinking, what's so special and what's so different from these standard keyboards? And the answer is actually pretty simple. It's because they use mechanical switches or optical mechanical switches. Some of them even use hybrids. And it differs because it is much more reliable, it's a quicker response, or maybe you're looking for a tactile key. But of course, I will create another video and other content based on that. And when I do, I will make sure to add it in the card right above my head if it's not there already. Time travel to the future. But anyway, let me get to the point because I know you guys need a keyboard and you want to up your gaming, or maybe you want to up your creativity where it makes it 10 times easier. Maybe you guys have a standard keyboard, and some of you may know exactly what I'm talking about. If you use your keyboard or use your PC on heavy use and that key is sticking, you'll be jumping or crouching like crazy if you're gaming, or doing your creativity, you can accidentally erase all of your progress, and who needs something like that? That is one of the very main reasons why you should upgrade your keyboard. I know some of you guys are pretty well versed on this very subject, and now you're just looking to upgrade your gaming keyboard or productivity keyboard. In order to get these keyboards, make sure you go down in the description box down below because I have them right there for you. Without further ado, let's get straight into it because I know you want to know what is the best out there. What is the best kind of keyboards that are out there for 2021? CK552 is one of the greatest keyboards out there, and it also has an awesome price tag on top of everything. And it uses Gatron's red switches, which is very similar to Cherry MX Reds. Cooler Master's keyboard does also feature RGBs in it, and it is controlled through Cooler Master's software. Another really great feature is this keyboard also does feature macros, and they're also really easy to program. CK552 also features a really nice aluminum housing, and on top of that, the font doesn't look too tacky. And the CK552 is all for the price for $79.99 USD. The only bad part of this very keyboard, it does not feature USB pass-through or aux pass-through. It does feature macro keys, and that is very useful for either gaming or productivity use. So let's get to number 9. Number 9 is Razer's Ornata version 2 keyboard, and that is an awesome keyboard. Razer's Ornata is one of the best keyboards you can get for a really great deal as well. Razer has definitely built up its brand, and it's a really comfortable keyboard to play on. On Ornata's version 2s, they feature mecha membrane hybrid switches, and what they are is it's not that same mushy feel that you feel on a standard keyboard, but they're actually an improvement over that. The same comfort, but if you do not like Cherry MXs, if you don't like any kind of those switches, these are probably something that you should be looking for because they are very comfortable and very quiet to use. If you're not familiar with what hybrid mecha membrane switches are, they're just a combination of the conventional keyboard, so they're very comfortable to use and they travel pretty easy. Ornata version 2 also features media keys. It does feature cable routing. It does have RGBs through Razer Chrome, all for the price of $80.99. And that's a price you cannot beat. Of course, the only negative downside, because it is not a mechanical keyboard, the longevity, the life of that very keyboard might really not last too long. And on top of everything, it might not be responsive as you like. So that's something to look out for, especially if you're a gamer or a productivity user, because if responsiveness is important, this keyboard is something that I would not use. What I would recommend is something further down the list, and there's plenty more. That's why we're going to number 8, Logitech's G915 LIGHTSPEED mechanical keyboard. Logitech really also has come a long way. They improved, especially in the whole mechanical keyboard game. It is literally one of the best keyboards out there for either wireless use or for gaming. Logitech does feature its own mechanical switches. You could choose to go for clicky tactile, or you could go for a linear switch. The keyboard is certainly responsive over Bluetooth, and on top of everything, it also features RGBs. Of course, this keyboard is very good to use on the go, especially if you game on a laptop. The price for this very keyboard is a little bit high. It's at $215 USD. The downside of this keyboard, it does not feature USB-C. It does use micro USB. I mean, who uses that anymore? And also another thing with this keyboard, it doesn't also have a numpad. If you're looking for a numpad for your keyboard, this is not the one for you. Let's go to number 7, Corsair's K70 Rapid Fire. Corsair K70 Rapid Fire is a very solid product, and especially for its pricing. It's very easy to program your RGBs, especially because it's an iQ. And Corsair does feature one of the best RGBs in the PC market, in my personal opinion. Corsair's K70 also features up to 3 different profiles that you can feature for your keyboard. So you can use one profile for Photoshop if you choose so to, and you can also use one profile for your Call of Duty Cold War gaming. Another really great feature that it does have is it does feature USB pass-through on this very keyboard. Corsair also uses Cherry MX keys for their very keyboards. It also does feature USB pass-through regardless of which chassis you choose. Whether it's a low profile chassis or you prefer more of the thicker chassis, they both feature USB pass-through. And it's all for the wonderful price of $132.50 USD. Now let's get to number 6. Asus RGB's keyboard, the ROG Strix Scope. The Republic of Gamers Strix Scope. That's the keyboard right there. That is one of the most underrated gaming keyboards that you can get. They feature brown and red switches, which are very similar to Cherry MX's version. And on top of that, they even feature Electropunk Edition, which is awesome. One of the things that really drew me to this very keyboard is if you look on the left control key, it is actually 2 times larger than your usual control. So that is really good for either gaming or productivity use, because you will not miss that very key. But because it is a little bit of a smaller keyboard, it does not feature a numpad on there. Neither does it have these other certain features if you're looking for in a keyboard, which I will explain momentarily. The Asus keyboard does feature RGBs, which does sync with Asus's Armory Crate. This keyboard saves a lot of space, and it also is a very portable keyboard on top of everything. Asus's keyboard also does feature USB-C, so it is with the times. You don't have to worry about any micro USB on there, which most companies are underrating USB-C. Asus's Strix Scope, TKL, tried to say that 3 times fast, is at an amazing price for $109.99. Now let's get to number 6. Number 6 is Razer's Black Widow version 3 Ultimate Keyboard, and they also have other various versions. Razer Black Widow is a name that I can live by. In fact, I had a Razer Black Widow Ultimate Keyboard for, let's see, maybe about 6 or 7 years, and it's still ongoing strong. In fact, I even stored it as a backup keyboard if anything happens to my current keyboard. Razer does feature its own switches, which are very similar to the colors of Cherry MX switches, which is green, yellow, and orange. So that gives you plenty of variety to choose from. And on top of that, Razer's Black Widow also does have some beautiful RGBs with it, and it does in fact sync with Razer's Chroma, and even features up to 30 plus different partners that you can also use these wonderful RGBs on. Razer Black Widow version 3 does have different variations, which is the TKL version, which is without the numpad, and they even have a wireless version. Black Widow also features a USB pass-through, and on top of that, they even have an auxiliary pass-through depending on the kind of Black Widow keyboard that you do get. Number 5 is HyperX Alloy Elite version 2. HyperX is another keyboard that is way underrated and also deserves much more respect, especially for the pricing that everybody is looking for, especially when purchasing products such as mechanical keyboards. HyperX is a beautifully designed keyboard. In fact, when you look on the outside of it, it has this beautiful aluminum coating and housing. And on top of that, it does feature its own red switches, which is similar to Cherry MX's reds, which are supposed to be designed for more of a tournament type of edition type of keyboard. It's supposed to be more responsive and even more accurate. And of course, they travel much more faster than your conventional keyboard. It also does feature USB 2.0 pass-through, and it does have RGBs for your viewing pleasure. They do feature media keys on top of the keyboard, and on top of that, all for the wonderful price of $129.99. Of course, the only negative part is if you want the keypad rest with that very keyboard, they raised the price to $149.99. Another downside of this very keyboard is it does not feature macro keys, so if that is important for you, you might as well wait for the next one. So let's get to number 3, which is Corsair's K95. Of course, K95 has to be on the list. It is one of the most classic gaming keyboards or used for productivity because of how wonderful and how beautifully designed this keyboard is. It's such a classic. They only redesigned the font, and of course you can select different type of Cherry MX keys with this very keyboard. It is one of Corsair's prized and most classic keyboards where everybody was inspired by it. And of course, if you haven't heard the excellence of K95, you just need to slap yourself across the face because it is that good. K95 does feature 6 programmable macro keys. And on top of that, it does have media keys up above on top of the keyboard. And it has 3 different profiles that you can save on it. And if you're looking for beautiful RGBs, K95 is for you because they have one of the best RGBs in the PC market, in my personal opinion. Corsair does feature USB 2.0 pass-through with it. It does not feature pass-through for auxiliary cable. If it added that, it would benefit more. And on top of that, on the redesigned model, of course, the font has improved, but not vastly, and that's what drew me away from that keyboard. It is one of the best and the most reliable keyboards that you can have for your very PC. It's all for a great price of $199.99. Now let's get to number 2, which is Razer's Huntsman keyboard. Can you believe it? Razer hitting number 2. It is one of the most innovating keyboards out there, even over the K95, and that is why it is number 2. And that the very reason is because they are the first ones to come out with optomechanical keyboards, which is a very useful feature. And of course, I will explain that in a whole nother video. And they have certainly changed keyboards in the whole gaming industry. I'm looking forward to see what comes out in the next 2 or 3 years, even from now. It is super responsive, it is quick, they even have clicky tactile to linear keys. Of course, Razer does feature RGBs with its keyboard. It does link with Razer's Chroma and 30 other manufacturers. It's all for the great price of $129.99, which is really hard to beat. The only bad part of this very keyboard is it does not feature USB pass-through, and it also does not feature macro keys. So if that is important for you, you might as well skip out on this keyboard and wait till you hear number 1, because this is one of the best keyboards that is out in the market, and that is Corsair's K100 optical keyboard. That's right, Corsair also came out with optical keys of their own, and the very reason why this is number 1 over Razer's Huntsman is because they feature macro keys and they have media keys up above on the top of the keyboard. It even has up to 3 onboard profiles that you can select from. So you can select one for Photoshop, you have one for Premiere, or you even have one set up for Black Ops Cold War. It is one of the best keyboards you can have in the world if you want the best for optimization for gaming, productivity, because it does have macro keys. It does feature USB 2.0 pass-through. The only beef I have with it is it does not feature auxiliary pass-through, which is a shame because that would definitely bring it up even higher up on the scale. Maybe they'll feature it later in one of their later models, but I personally do love this keyboard. In fact, another really great feature is you can even lock out the Windows button, and it has up to 4,000 hertz polling rate, which is incredibly fast. It is literally one of the best keyboards that you can get out in the market. Of course, the downside of it is the pricing. It is a pretty expensive keyboard. It is $199.99 USD. The very price of this keyboard is you're looking for the most reliable, quickest, and the best keyboard in the world. If you want to get one of the best gaming or productivity keyboards in the world, make sure you go down in the description box down below. And also, if you found this content very useful, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to join the big wonderful fan band, make sure you go down and hit the subscribe button for more. And also, make sure you follow my Twitter handle right here for all the newest updates. If you guys have any questions at all, or if you have any other keyboards that I missed that you personally love, make sure you put it down in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Chris Mizo signing out.